All right, we are live. Hey, and hi everyone. How y'all doing today? So we've got a good discussion today with a young man, young LT. We're going to talk about finding out the difference between your career and your gift. And I hope that you enjoyed today's discussion. So stay tuned, and I think you'll enjoy it. So here we go. All right, and without further ado, let's go ahead and add him on to the discussion. How you doing, young man? How you doing? How you pronounce your name? Is it Lucien?
Is Lusene. Lusene?
Lusene. Okay, Lusene Donzo.
Yes, Lusene Donzo.
Okay. So, obviously we connected through Facebook and everything like that, and I think it came through another mutual friend of ours. I think Tasha. Do you know Tasha and all of
Yeah,
that?
yes, Miss Tanya Ford. Miss
Yes,
Ford.
yes,
Major
yes, Miss
Ford.
Ford, Major Ford. She's the one that connected both of us, and obviously, I'm happy to have you to come and talk with us today. And I think, have you had a chance to check out how our discussion thing goes on this lead podcast?
The last one, I watched the last one with Colonel Shabazz.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't watch the entirety of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I watched it. So I kind of have an idea of everything.
Okay. So I keep calling you young man. You could be older than me, man. How old are you, man? You
I'm 28 years old.
okay, good. Okay, I'll leave it at that. You could be like a younger brother of mine. That's good. That's good. So where are you
Right.
from? What's your background and all those different things?
So I'm from Monrovia, Liberia. I came here as an immigrant, and when I first came here as an immigrant, I lived in Philadelphia. I went to school, high school in University City High School. After that, I then transferred to Virginia to stay with my mom, and then I went to community college for 3 years. I enlisted in the Army, and when I enlisted in the Army, I was like, well, since I'm already in school, why not do ROTC and get a commission as an officer? And part of commissioning was it was always a dream of mine to become an officer. So I was like, well, let me just kill two birds with one stone. So that's when I commissioned from Virginia State University. My major was computer science, and I'm currently working on my master's in communication. So that's just a little background.
A little background. Your story is similar to mine. I'm an immigrant myself. I'm come from the country of Trinidad and Tobago. I grew up in
Okay.
the East Coast, also Brooklyn, New York, and now then I joined the
Oh,
military at 21, and ever since it's been an experience. I'll say that it's an
I know.
experience. So I was a young enlisted, and then I became an officer. Obviously, I'm not in anymore, as you could tell by the
The
proper.
go. Yeah, I know. I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Hey, one day you'll get there, but one day you will get there. Give it time. Give it time. This has been a struggle trying to grow this, so give it time, right? But I wanted to talk to you. I mean, you seem to have a very compelling background story. And I don't know of many 28-year-old military officers, immigrant military officers who are writing books on leadership and finding one's passion. Heck, even the topic of today's discussion is something that really is absolutely riveting and it's attention grabbing. So I need to know, before we even get into that, what are your morals and values? How were they formed? How did they become the person, come into you as the person?
So, growing up, I was I was hard headed. I've always wanted to be successful, but I
Hmm.
really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be a soccer player. When I was young, I wanted to play soccer. My favorite soccer player was Cristiano Ronaldo. That's what, at the age of 14, when I came in America, 13, I came in America, I was like, you know what, I'm going to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo. But of course,
Hmm.
sometimes life, life happens, right?
Hmm.
But I think growing up, I grew up, I had a tough background. My uncle In African homes, he was very tough on me. He was really tough, and he told me a lot of things that really, you know, that made me think. So he told me a lot of negative things. He used to tell me I never been a straight A student. So when I bring in A and B, he'll tell me I'll never make it. He'll
Wow.
tell me like I'll never be successful in life. I used to get in trouble, not a lot, but I used to get in fights and stuff. He would tell me
Hmm.
I would be a drug dealer on the streets,
Wow.
selling drugs. So what really changed my life was the day before I graduated high school, he kicked me out of his house. He kicked me out of his house, and I mentioned that in my book. He kicked me out of his house, and I slept in the street in middle school. And I had two choices, right? One choice was, should I sit there and not go and graduate, or knowing that I worked so hard, even though I didn't get straight A's, I got A, B's, and a couple of D's, but I still had the GPA to graduate. And I
Hmm.
said to myself, I will get up. I went where he threw all my stuff in the front porch. I grabbed my, dress shirts and dress tee. I put it out. I put it on. I grabbed a train fast. I went to the bathroom in one of the store, Poppy store, whatever at the time they called it.
Hmm.
And I went to my grandma and I told my grandma what happened. She was like, "Oh my God, you were late for your graduation." I said, "Yeah, can you please drop me off?" And I went and I graduated. That really was a changing point in my life, because at that point I could have said, you know what, he kicked me out. I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. I should just sit there, or I took the initiative and just went ahead and graduated because I knew I deserved it. So as I started after that, I realized that anything that I want in my life, I have to go after and get it, regardless whether somebody tell me I can't get it. If I know I work hard for it, if I know I put in the time and equity, the sweat in it, and I know I deserve it, I'm not going to sit there and wait for somebody to tell me, "Oh, here it is. I'm going to give it to you." I am going to go after it by any means necessary. So that was the first step that I developed. I started developing this mentality where I'm like, okay, you know what? What are the things that you desire the most and the things that you want out of your life? So then I started building those values. Um, and the values, as I started building those values, the military, when I enlisted into the military, then it added some core values, and it made me the person I am now. And I'm just keep piling up on it.
So
I
before we
don't want
get
to go
into the
deep.
military, before we get into the military and how the military may have played a part of your development,
Uh-huh.
it sounds cliche. The whole, hey, if you have a goal, you could just go and get it. There's got to be some work in there. There's got to be some moments where, man, I really can't do this. Man, this is really tough. Man, I need this logistical help here and there. What
Hmm.
is that story? How did you get from those steps to steps to steps? How did you get there?
So I did a seminar on this because I'm part of the Killeen Toastmaster. When you want to achieve a goal, the first thing is you have to have a plan, right? You have to have a plan. When first of all your goals, like I write down all my goals, right? So the first thing is, if I say I want to be whatever for my dream is to be one of the best speaker alive, right? And now I said, okay, that's my dream. Now what is it going to take me to get there, right? Because you can't just get there by wishing. So now I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I write it down. Then what are the next step is, what are the necessary plan that I need to be taking? What school, what network, what people do I need to be around? What
Hmm.
are the information I need to be receiving? What are the information I need to be given? Then the
Hmm.
most important thing I'll tell people when it comes to achieving your goals is you have to know why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Like, why is it? Why is it important to you? Why should you listen to me? Right? Why should that person care about you wanting to be one of the best speaker? Why should somebody read your book? Why should somebody care that you want to be an officer? So you have to know why, because if you don't know why, you're not going to be pushed. And when you know why, your why can just be about you. When your why is just about you, to me it gets played out. I wanted to be an officer because I wanted to lead soldiers. That's why I wanted to become an officer, because I seen a gap where a lot of leadership that wasn't leading soldiers the way I felt I could do a better job. So
Mhm.
I said, if they can do it, I can do it too. That was my why, you
Hold
know.
it there. Hold it there. It's sounding almost like you're doing, like you did a personal counseling with yourself. You know how, when you have so as me as a civilian, my boss, what we did a couple months ago is we stated the different goals, the short-term goals, the medium term, and then the long term. In my short-term goals, I wanted to get a promotion. I wanted to sign up for different classes. My medium term were I want to eventually, move on from the location I'm at. My long-term goals were to eventually become a public affairs, garrison leader or go to law school and all those different things. And it's weird how when you write down the goals that you want and you put down actual objective dates and actual objective and measurable goals, it's weird how it absolutely happens. Don't you agree?
I would agree, and I would tell you, I would like to add on to this. 42% of you accomplish 42% of everything you write down. So I always tell people, right, when I talk to the schools, to the
Where you
kids,
got that number from?
research,
Okay.
research, statistically is proven. You 42% of whatever your goals you write down, you can accomplish it. So I always tell them that this is how I get them, right? I say, hey,
Mm.
if you have a 42% chance of winning the lottery, aren't you going to take it? We don't have a 42% chance of winning the lottery. We don't. We have like a zero point 0.1 or whatever. But if I say every single thing you write down, you have a 42% chance of accomplishing it. You have a 42% chance. Wouldn't you rather give yourself a 42% chance of accomplishing those things? Come
Yeah,
on,
I got you.
So
I got you. I got you. Hey, I hear you loud and clear. And it really depends on what lottery you're talking about, right? So it could be the financial money lottery, or it could be the lottery of accomplishments that you've set forward for yourself. Now,
right.
a lot of us may run into some hurdles. When those hurdles come, and they will come, and everybody who's trying to accomplish a certain goal, how do you prepare yourself for those hurdles, especially the hurdles that are just really, really just agonizing and gets under your skin? How do you deal with those hurdles?
So for me, so you can't predict that, right? That's because that's life. You can't predict. But one thing I would say, when how I deal with hurt is it goes back to me understanding my why, right? And I believe that everything that happens in my life is happens for me. It happens for the better of me. Now, the situation might not be ideal. So, something tragic that happened to me, I was in a coma, right? I had a seizure. I broke my left shoulder and I dislocated my right shoulder. I wasn't supposed to commission. I waited 18 months to commission, but at the time I didn't know I was going to commission.
Hmm.
But I always realized that I always knew that there was a reason that happened to me, because in order for me to be the type of person I am now, I had to develop some type of mental toughness and resiliency, right? So a lot of times hurdles happen for us, but it's a way you look at it, right? It's your perspective. So I always try to perceive things in a good way. Now, in an ideal situation when I was in a hospital where I couldn't do anything, I really didn't know if I was ever going to have a regular life. But then I
Hmm.
always believed that I was destined for something great. And this is why I always tell people, every one of us, including you, we all have a special gift. I'm not going to talk about it but hurdles happen for a reason. Always try to see the positive outlook on it, regardless how good or bad, how bad it is. Try to look at the positive. And in every failure is a lesson. Every failure is a lesson.
Yeah. You know who talked about that? You know who mentioned, "Hey, I didn't fail at this thing. I just learned how not to approach it the next time." And I actually got this from a basketball player, Kevin Garnett. I think talked about that one time, but that's
Mm,
something that I picked up. But I hear what you're saying. Every
hmm
failure is an opportunity to learn how to not approach a certain thing another time. There's always opportunities for moving forward. Who are the people that came into your life that allowed you to imagine? some of us are limited in our ability ability to imagine ourselves in a more positive, productive place. Who are these people that helped you become a better imagine, have a greater imagination?
Um, so first I didn't have my father directing my life, but my father coached me from far, right? And my father told me that he always told me, he said, Lusene, I don't care. Before, when I came to America, he said, you can do anything in this country that you really want, but you have
Mm,
to believe it, son. And me and my father, we don't have the best relationship, but I always tell him, I said, that was the best thing he could have ever told me. And I walk around with that. Uh, Now, another person that really impacted me was my RTC colonel, Colonel Johnson. When I didn't believe I was going to graduate, um, he told, because I didn't buy my uniform at the time. Before he told me I was going to commission, I'm sorry, not graduate. Before he told me I was going to commission, he was like, "Hey, LT, did you buy your uniform yet?" I was
mhm.
like, "Sir, I don't really know if I'm going to commission or not." He was like, "How can you 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 don't have to necessarily see it. You have to believe it."
Yeah.
And he was like, "You want a commission, right?" I was like, "Yes, sir." He was like, "Well, you have to see it. I mean, you have to believe it before you actually see it." And I took that and
Hmm.
ran with it. I took what Colonel Johnson told me, that if I want something, I have to believe it first. Now,
Hmm.
he might have just been talking, but I took that and ran with it because that was powerful. And when I believed that I could do it, it like 2 weeks later he called me. He was like, "Hey, you're a commissioner." I was like, "Wow." So I think my father, Colonel Johnson, and I have other mentors too. Eric Thomas, he's a motivational speaker.
Hmm.
Um, I have book mentors, so I have mentors in Robert Kiyosaki. He's my financial mentor.
Hmm.
Um, I have a lot of mentors in different areas of my life. That that way, Devon Franklin, he's my relationship mentor. So those, I think having mentors for every aspect and areas of your life is important and is significant when you want to be really successful,
Let's
because
get back
these
to
guys are
let's
uh-huh.
get to the point where mentors, and sorry for interrupting you, but we'll get back to that point with mentors. And I'm gonna dig and ask the questions. I'm gonna ask the questions. And I really appreciate you answering, by the way. So let's go ahead and read some of the comments and some of the questions that's already coming in. All right. So I'll go on the right really fast. And there you go, Major Ford. She said, I'm so proud of him. All right now.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right now, all right now. He said, so very proud of this young, energetic officer. That's someone else. Someone said, hey, my homeboy. All right, all right. Someone said, let's see some other comments. We got one from Holly. She said, know the why behind your goals. Great insight. Absolutely, absolutely. She said, you have to believe it. Very powerful. Regarding mentors,
Hmm.
this seems to be like an almost running question and theme that a few other officers have spoken about, but I'd like to hear your point of view regarding it. Who were the mentors and how did you pick them, or how did they pick you?
I think mentors for me, my mentors, it just came and I I wouldn't say I picked them or they picked me. It just came naturally with the
Mm,
relationship that we had, and just a bond connected, right? Because
mhm,
you don't want to force a relationship. A relationship, it has to be mutual. So they seen something in me that they liked and that they could influence, and I seen something in them that I like and that I can learn, because it's a each one teach one. Relationship goes both ways. So maybe I motivated. One thing Colonel Johnson always said, he loved the fact that I was very resilient through everything I've been through in RTC.
mhm,
I never quit it. And maybe he liked that about me and he used that in his personal life. I don't know. He probably won't tell me, but he always tell me, Cadet Donzo, you're freaking resilient. I love that about you. So I think mentor is important, but you don't force the relationship, right? You reach out to them and you build that relationship. And then if the connection flows, it flows. And they will somehow influence you. Miss Ford, I met Miss Ford, Major Retired Ford, last year. We didn't instantly bond it at all. We never did
mhm,
instantly bond it. but she influenced me with the vision board. When she did her vision board, that really changed the aspect of how I looked at vision board, and we connected.
Speaking
So
about vision
when
boards, someone left a comment.
yes,
When is he hosting a vision board party for me? It was probably her that left that comment, right? The vision board. Tell me more about this vision board thing. What's that all about?
So Miss Ford, it was earlier this year. She got few LTs and other people to just so what it is. I still have to do my research. I haven't done it, but what it is basically, it is a class where she teaches and she tells us like how writing down your goal is. It has to do with biblical, right? It has to do with biblical. So we write down our goals, and we pick several different areas: financially, relationship, education, job, business, all the areas that you want to improve in, right?
Hmm.
And you write it down and you put a date on it, and then you buy a board and you make it colorful pictures or whatever, and you stick it on your board. Now you talk about your goals, and then you have an accountability partner. She tells us that it's important that we have an accountability partner. So that was something that intrigued me because I always had goals, but I never really had an accountability partner. So, and then to be able to visually, I wrote down my goals, but I never really had my vision board in my room where I could visually see it. So, hey, okay, I have to complete this. I have to make sure I appear in the newspaper in Killeen, which I did. I was like, oh, I was super proud of that. So all these things I could visually see it, and I was like, the next step. Remember, I said earlier, when you can see it, right, you after you write down your goals, you make a plan. How can I achieve it? So now it's like, okay, how can I achieve those goals? So that's why vision board is important, because you see it and you, in the back of your mind, like, hey, I still need to accomplish this goal.
So I got a question, and this doesn't
Yes.
connect with you, but what about individuals who visually see those that look like them always in a negative light? How does one move from that negative vision board to a positive one?
Can you expand on your question a little bit?
Yeah, let me
I'm
expand
not.
a little bit. So, say for
Uh huh.
instance, I grew up in an area where I'm disadvantaged. I grew up in an area where I see nothing but negativity. I visually see on TV, social media, etc., nothing but negativity. How does one move from that social vision board that's always around them to a more focused one that's labeled and focused on their personal goals?
So for me, to me this is easy, right? And the reason why I say it's easy, because you're not a product of your environment, and I don't care what anybody say. I grew up in the
Mm.
village. I grew up in the village in Zidequite. I came into America. I had big dreams. When I first graduated, I had a job that was with the Navy that was paying me 75K. But coming on active duty, I always wanted to be an officer. That was a dream of mine, right? I always tell people that you're not a product of your environment. My father had multiple kids with multiple different women. I don't, because I realized I am not my father. So you have to understand, you have to get to a point where you realize that you are not a product of your environment. Regardless of what circumstances you was brought up in, you are not a product of that. You have to change your mindset. TDJ said it, a new mind. When you renew your mind from the old ways of thinking, you become a new person. So I looked at the family I grew up in, the environment I grew up in. My mom has never ever in her entire life made the amount of money I'm making right now, which, I'm blessed, but I know I can make more if I add value, because I read a lot of books. There are multiple people in this world. They add value to people and they get paid. So I always tell people, don't ever accept, regardless of how you look, regardless whether you grew up in the village like me, regardless whether you had two seizures and somebody told you are not going to make it. don't don't accept it. I never accept what anybody tell me. Now it's hard, because I've had some people that have told me that I wouldn't get to where I'm at, but I don't accept it. I always go back to the drawing board, right? The planning. Like, okay, how can I get this? How can I achieve this? I have never accepted, because the moment when you accept it, then now you're like, okay, you you have now accepted their mentality, their way of thinking. They have
Hmm.
now negative influence you, because people influence us in different ways subconsciously. We don't really know. That's why I'm very aware of the individuals and the people I surround myself with. So I would tell them, don't look at the fact that you grew up in the hood like I did in West Philadelphia, and you didn't have your father in your life. You know, all these things. Don't look at it as that's why you're not going to get to where you're at. Those are part of you, and those are what you can use that to become a greater person. Because I use it. I use the fact that I didn't have my father. I always tell people I will be in my children's life. You know, so I always use the negative for a positive.
Got you. I got you. And maybe that's your gift. Maybe that is your gift. So about this topic that we're talking about, figuring out your
Mhm.
career and your gift. Why did you choose that to talk about?
Man, because I meet a lot of people in the military that are so talented. They're gifted, and I'm gonna be really passionate about this because I want people to understand. I meet a lot of people in the military, whether they're higher ranking than me or they're not, but they don't take advantage of their gift. And I'm here to tell you guys, each and every one of you, God has given you a gift. I love being an officer, but my gift is speaking. My gift is talking to people. My gift is adding value and making a difference in people's life. That is something that naturally comes to me. That is something that you can wake me up in a deep sleep and you say, "Hey, I want you to talk about this." I'm going to do it because that's my gift. And so many of us in the military, we have gift, but we don't want to use it because we're too afraid of standing out. We're too afraid of what somebody else might think. Stop. I used to care so much about what people might think of me or how they perceive me. I don't care about those things anymore because I know I'm not going to be good at everything. And that's okay because I'm a human being. But I realize that if I can be an officer and I can be an impact to people, I can speak, I can have my own business, I can add value to people's life, that's the best life. That's the best life. Whether I make it a general or not, that's to me, that's a fulfilling life because I'm living in my gift and I'm also doing something that I love, you know?
What about when your leadership doesn't believe in your gift and they want to dampen you because they want to keep you humble? How do you deal with that?
So I've had this. My recent captain, you know, he told me when I told him I was going to publish my book, he looked down on me. He was like, what do you have to write?" You know, and another major too. He looked down on me. I told him this year my book is coming out. He was like, "Your book?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." So for me, I don't let people. I don't let what you tell when I wear the uniform. When I take up the uniform, whatever you told me, I leave it. I don't take being an officer at home, right? I don't do that. There are a lot of things my leadership have told me that, and I'm not saying all negative, but very few that why am I speaking or why am I doing this? They don't. I look at them as they really don't know their true gift, right? They don't understand who they are because a person that understands who they are from the core, they know what value they have to offer to people. I know the value I bring to anybody, and I'm an
Hmm.
asset. And I say this boldly, not to be arrogant. I am an asset to anybody when it comes to me being influential in terms of helping somebody out and getting them to understand what are some of their passions and what are some of their gifts. That is something that I've been for the last 3 years. I've been researching. I've been reading. You know, to get a better understanding, to have the mindset that I have. So if my leadership do not believe in me, I don't take it to heart because he don't see what I see.
But Luceni, you're a young LT, no kids, no wife. You don't have that, you know, responsibilities and stuff like that regarding a family and all of that. Some folks may have a family, some folks may be busy with real life. I mean, you've got the free time to go and live your gift and live your life and discover new gifts. How are people who are busy with everyday living supposed to find their gift? How are they supposed to do that? And I'm just asking these questions to play
Yeah.
devil's advocate, right? I hope you understand that.
No, it's okay. And how would a yes, you're right. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I can do whatever I want with my time, right? But let's say if I was married, let's say if I was married and I have one or two kids, I would talk to my partner. We all have a purpose in this life. So if you are married and you have a child, right? Talk to your partner. Your purpose is different from your partner. You have something to fulfill in his life. You have value, and you have to talk to your partner. Hey, I am really good at art. Could you take care of the kids sometimes so I can draw, so I can really get deep into this? Maybe you can become an artist, and you don't
You
have
said
to make a lot of money out of, huh?
you said take care of the kids. So hey, honey, take care of these kids while I go be an artist.
Not
That's
not
not.
in that not in that no no no
Oh, okay,
no
okay,
in
okay.
terms of
Got you, got you.
communication. So in terms of communication, like, hey babe, I really want to, so for example, right? So I most of my time I spend reading and educating myself on finding your purpose, why your purpose matter, because I'm creating a program to help people understand the purpose. So let's say if I had a wife and I have children, I would sit her down and I will communicate some of my goals, some of the purpose that some of the things I want to create. And if your partner love you, if they care about you, if they value you, like let's say if my wife wanted to be a singer or she wanted to own her own business and she wanted to take time, I am not going to be selfish and not want to help her achieve her goals, or some of the desire and dreams that she want, because that's selfish. We all have a purpose to play. Relationship it's a teamwork. Relationship is a commitment. So
Hmm.
you have to be able to work together to help each other accomplish a bigger goal. But individually, you all have something that you bring to the
Okay,
table.
I got you. So we got more comments coming in. Let's go ahead and read the comments. You could drink some
Okay,
water in the meantime. Let's go ahead and read some of these comments mm, as they're
I'll be
coming
back.
in. Let's go ahead and read some of these comments. Hey, Lucini is on fire, y'all. He is on fire. He is talking about the different passions that he has. He is talking about, what he's all about. And I could feel that passion and that fire that he's already, letting us know what he's all about. So let's go ahead and read some of these comments that's being said already. So we have this is I think this is the biblical connection that he was mentioning earlier. The person said, write down the revelation, make it plain on the tablet. That is I like that. That's good. Someone
Yeah.
else said, we keep a book, a board, and accountability partner with cheerleaders. It takes a village. It takes a village is a it's a black saying, it's an African saying. I think it takes a village to raise a child. But I'd say it takes a village to raise a goal, right?
Yeah, it does.
It does, it does. So let's go into
You want me to? Oh,
someone said your passion is amazing. Hey,
thank
hey,
you.
I thought you were about to jump out of your chair as you were saying the things that you were saying. I'm like, oh man, he's on fire. Let him keep going. Let him keep going. We got Holly again. Holly said, in my opinion, it's all about balance. It's a give and I think she meant take. Yeah, give and take with your spouse to pursue
Yes.
your passions. Absolutely, Holly. I agree with that. So you got your career. You've kind of figured out your gift, and now your gift is talking. And from what I'm hearing from reading about your background, what is regarding talking and regarding mentorship and regarding young kids between, I think the ages you said were 7 and 22,
No, 13 to 22.
13 and 22. So teenager to a young adult. Why that age range?
Because you one, I'm a young speaker, so I have to be specific, right? And two, those kids are the kids that go through abuse. They get in the system. Um, they also have depression. They really don't understand. It's this thing called parental pressure, right? Their
Hmm.
parents peer pressuring them, especially when they're 19, to tell them to pick a particular major. Like my dad wanted me to do business, my mom wanted me to do nursing. I didn't want to do any of those, but I did business. I never liked it. I had an F in economics. I dropped that major. I did nursing. I never liked it. I had an F in in one of the biochemistry class. Then I was like,
Hmm.
well, I want to do something that analyzed my critical thinking, which was computer science. But at that time, I still didn't know speaking was something that I was naturally good at. So those kids, to me, those kids are the kids that really are going through life not really understanding what they want to do or who they are. They're still finding themselves, and this is where I come in and fix. Because as a speaker, I am a problem solver. It's the same as a leader. We are paid to solve problems. So as a speaker, I'm here to come up with programs and show these kids what are some of your strengths, what are some of your weakness, and how you can close that gap, and how you can use your strength to help you to become successful. And you can pay somebody to work on your weakness.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I understand that. I hear what you're saying. Between those ages of 13 to 22, I remember those years. Dang, 20 years ago. Whew, I'm getting old fast, but I remember those days. I remember, like, man, what should I do? I'm really good at all these little things. Which one should I pick? Which one should I choose? I've always liked storytelling, and I always liked being in front of the camera or producing. And it's kind of ironic. I've kind of circle back to doing exactly that. And you know when you could tell that you're in your gift? You could tell that you're in your gift. This is my opinion, and I want to hear your opinion as well. You could tell that you're
Hmm.
in your gift when you feel like a fish in water. So the energy that I get when I am sitting down here interviewing anyone, it could be you, it could be presidents, it could be a janitor. It doesn't matter. I love having a discussion with folks. I love interviewing folks. I love producing stuff like that, and it feels like a natural thing. It feels like it's not forced. It feels like, hey, I'm having a discussion with whomever. It doesn't matter. That's how I view people. But in your opinion, how can you tell when you're in your gift?
When it comes to you naturally, like you said, when it's something that you don't have to try. I don't have to try. I never rehearsed for this.
Hmm.
I told you what we wanted to
Yes.
talk about, and
Yes.
even you asked me the question, and it comes off naturally. I don't have to sit there and study. I don't have to take a test for it. It's
Hmm.
just natural, and that's why I tell people, you how do you find your gift? You find your gift by something that just comes to you natural.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to you natural, when you know what that something is, then you figure out how you can educate yourself in that. Because in anything, if you want to be successful as an officer, we have to go to bullet, we have to go to
Hmm.
captain career course, then we have to go to ILE, and then and so forth. There's education in the military at different levels. It's the same
Hmm.
with your with whatever for filming. You probably got to take some filming class, go
Hmm.
take some courses. You
Hmm.
probably have to know how to talk to a person to get them engaged. Those are art, but
What if I
that
told you
don't
I've
come
never
naturally.
taken a course? I've never taken a course in any of this stuff. I just, I wanted to just become really good at it, and I saw how
Hmm.
people did it, and I just freaking jumped
Hmm.
right into it. Like, hey, I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna
Keyword,
fail my way to success.
keyword. You saw how people do it. That's still
Yeah,
learning.
yeah. You're right. You're right.
It's learning. You see it, you're learning because your subconscious brain is taking notes, right? And
Hmm.
that's part of learning. You don't have to take a course. I've seen Eric Thomas speak multiple times. I've seen Les Brown speak multiple times, and I've seen Tony Robbins. Simon Sinek. All these guys. I was like, I can do that. Now I might not be on the level yet, but like you said, if I continue to get better, if I put myself out there, if I fail, I allow myself to make mistake, and it's okay if I make mistake. It's okay if I stutter sometimes. I don't have things to say, or I have to think
Hmm.
deep. It's okay because part of being successful is feeling your way there. So whatever come naturally to you, that's your gift. And a lot of times, people last year when I first got stationed at Fort Hood, I got paid $500 to speak at a local high school. My first check, I still haven't even used it. I misplaced it. I don't know where it is. But that I was like, and that's what really changed my name. That's what really changed me. I was like, I can get paid for speaking something I love. You kidding me?
Yeah. Well,
You are
you're a
kidding me?
natural extrovert, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
I could tell. I
I
could.
am.
Let's add some comments that are being brought up already. So we got another comment coming in. Someone said at that age, and I think you were talking about the 13 to 22 age. They said at that
Hmm.
age, they age out of the system and don't have a family also. Wow. Okay.
Mm.
And we've got an additional person that said self taught is a deep passion for something. Yes, absolutely. I
Hmm.
it- I don't know, maybe it's just the work ethic thing, but I said to myself, because, obviously, when you retire out of the military and you've got to find now a means and income of taking care of your family, because guess what doesn't stop just because you left the military? Bills and responsibility, right?
So yeah,
And
right.
so the year before I got out of the military, I was a, medical officer at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I said, hey, I want to learn what this photography thing is all about. So I just practiced and practiced and practiced and got good at it. And when I eventually got out, public affairs was the natural place that I got myself into. And I was already a natural talker and I was already an inquisitive person. So I interviewed and I did well. Having those basic skill sets allowed me to level up onto a new thing and then onto a new thing. And that's how I kind of got into the position where I'm at today, where I'm public affairs, I'm doing what I love doing, and it's a natural connection. I think if anyone has a passion for something or a gift for something, you've got to germinate and you've got to feed that passion to eventually find your gift in that passion. What do you think?
You said keywords, two keywords. You said Germany and feed your passion, right? So I had a passion of speaking. I loved it, but
Hmm.
I had to get experience. I had to feed my passion, which I started my senior year in college. I
Yeah.
started going to the local schools, and I said, "Hey, please give me an opportunity to speak." I didn't have the mindset I have right now, where it's a legit business now, where I have my like my fees and stuff. I didn't have any of that. I was just doing it because of passion, because I love it.
Hmm.
But I wanted to stimulate that. So I was going out there and feeding, talking to these kids from the age
Hmm.
of 9 to the age of 16. I did a lot of volunteer work for free, just to build that confidence that this is something that if I keep getting better, I can do it. And that's what it takes. It takes that.
Hmm.
You have to go ahead.
Now, you know what's funny? You mentioned in a prior thing before, you said, why not me? That's something that I say all the time. When I see something that captures my attention and I see someone who
Hmm.
may not necessarily even look like me, I say, why not me? Why can't I do that? I can do that. Then I go do it. And then I prove myself that I can do it. And then I'm better than the person who I saw do it before. And then I teach others how to do it myself. It's like it's a step by step
It,
thing, man.
it is, like I said in the beginning, success is strategizing your way towards the end goal, right? So whatever the end goal is, like I said, for me, my dream is to be one of the best speaker alive, right?
Hmm.
And I don't care what anybody say. That's what I tell myself. That's my dream, to be one of the best speaker alive. Now, I know I gotta actually build programs. I gotta impact people. But I believe. If they can do it, if Eric Thomas and Tony Robbins and all these great people can do it, what is the difference between them and me? They just applied and they work hard. It took them 15, 20, 25 years.
Yeah,
And I've been doing it for 2 years. I'm not gonna get there in 10 years. Maybe I
yeah.
can, but you know, I have
Wait,
to
hold
keep
on. You need
working. I
to
have to.
talk. You need to talk that into existence now. You may be a not
No,
happen. You need to talk that into Listen,
no.
don't use your 2 year time that you've been in a market to not think, hey, I could dominate this market in 10 years. Don't let that sit.
Right,
I sound like I'm your motivator now, man. Don't let
right,
that
right,
situation.
right.
Don't let your situation determine your outcome, man. I mean,
That's
woo.
true.
But go ahead. Let me hear what you got to say. Go
No,
ahead.
no. I was saying that to just to tell people, because sometimes, a lot of times, when I first started this, the training cycle last year was really tough.
Yeah.
A lot of times you feel like quitting, man, because in the military, especially as a combat arms officer, it's hard. It's hard. I would I would be lying to you if I tell you it's easy. It's not easy at all. It's not easy,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, it's important, right? And we make whatever is important to us, we make time. For me, it's important that I become a well-known speaker as much as
Mm-hmm.
I become proficient at my job. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to balance those things, right? So I'm saying that I said that in 10 years time because a lot of times people when they go through things naturally they quit. You know,
Yeah.
you can't quit. You know, you can't quit. Like you said, you can dominate it in 10. I can dominate the field in 10 years, right? But you know, when I get there, that's why I built these calluses in my mind.
Yeah.
These beliefs that Lusene, you grew up in the village, man. Come on. Like you grew up in the village. You literally had seizure, you was in a coma, you almost died. So when I ever think about quitting, I say, well, I should have quit it when I was in a coma and I almost died.
Mm-hmm.
So I would
Mm-hmm.
never quit. So that's what I tell myself. So others that are listening, you have to have things that pulls you. And that's what I want to say too. So motivation pushes you, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't understand it. So motivation cannot get you to your end goal where you want to go. Motivation just gets you started. But when you have a purpose, when you know what your purpose is, and you know why you're in that purpose can pull you. Because when you're motivated and you know your purpose of why you want to go where you want to go, that purpose can pull you towards that. So I know my purpose and I know I'm living in my calling. So sometimes when I feel like quitting, I the calluses that I have told myself in my mind, I said, well, you should have quit it when you was in the hospital. You should have quit it, after the doctor told you was lucky to be alive. You should have quit it. You should
Yeah.
have never became an officer. You should have said, sir, I don't want this. So that's why I never really quit on myself. I always try to keep on pushing.
I got you. I got you. Hey, I have this saying, and maybe it's silly, but it's a saying that I kind of follow with too. When you trip, you move forward faster. I mean, literally and figuratively. I've had folks who didn't believe in what I was going to do, but I still pushed forward. And I will say something, you know, in the pursuit of your goal, you should still have a base to keep you balanced. You're able to pursue your goals and your ambitions and everything like that, but you still have a career that's able to take care of you just in case the goal is not ever accomplished. You still have a means to balance yourself. And that's, I think, absolutely something where you've got to balance both your career and your goal. But Luceni, what do you
Uh-huh.
think about that comment? And then, I'll go into, have a few more comments and then we'll close it off. What do you think about that last comment?
So I think, and that's how I wanted to. So you talk about balance. It's important that you have balance
Yeah.
in life. You can't overwork yourself. You can't overthink yourself. There's sometimes I get in the zone where I'm like thinking, building. Then I have to step back, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
terms of job, right, the military is the number one reason. I mean, the military funds my dream.
Mm-hmm.
They fund my
That's it.
dream, and this is why I tell a lot of people, and when I talk to kids, I said you don't necessarily have to. It's okay if you don't, start out chasing your dream as soon as you're 18. That's okay, right? But
Mm-hmm.
do a career that you like or you love. If you don't love that you like that you can do something that
Mm-hmm.
is not super hard. I can do the military. The military is not super hard. I've been doing it for 6 years, right? It's not super hard for me. So
Mm-hmm.
do something that you can do, but then when you're doing something that you can do and you're making that amount of money, now
Mm-hmm.
invest in yourself because there's
Mm-hmm.
nobody else to invest in but yourself. Everything all the books that I've read, even the degrees that I'm getting, those knowledge, nobody can take that away from me. So you have to have a balance. I would say it's imperative that you have a balance of where your job or your career can fund your dreams, which is what I'm doing. I get my paycheck, it goes right into my marketing, it goes right into my website building, it goes right into writing my speeches and all these things. The military funds my dream, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Hey,
I am
shout out
I
to the
am grateful.
military, man. I mean, all of this here, this is military has funded both of our dreams. and we're both living it. And it's something that, I mean, it could not be the military. If you've got a regular 9 to 5 and you're saving and you're budgeting and you're,
Yeah,
you know, controlling where your income goes, you can fund your dreams also. You've just got to find balance. But let's go ahead and read some of the comments, and then we could, kind of, I guess, bring to conclusion our discussion that, has me amped up. I want to go outside and start running. You got me so amped up, man. I'm telling you. So here's the thing
that's
we've
that's
got.
that's that's what I love, man.
That's a it's a good thing. It's a great thing, actually. It's a really good thing. So here's a
Yeah.
last comment that I see. He is so inspirational. He will dominate. There's just some people that just kind of sticks out at you. Because a lot of folks, when they go through their trials and tribulations and their failures, they don't necessarily want to motivate you to go and pursue your own. They want to kind of just lay that wet towel that they've absorbed with all of that failure that they may have gone through, and just throw it on you and like, hey, don't pursue your dreams too far. Look at me and my failures. Take my failures with you. How do you get past the negativity that comes your way? And what's some words of advice you could offer those who really appreciated our discussion today?
Man, so first thing I'll tell you, man, if you don't know what your gift is, and I tell everybody this, if you don't know what the program I'm creating is a purpose power program, there's purpose in your power.
Hmm.
I just want to emphasize that there's purpose in your power, right? There's purpose in your gift. The reason why I'm so motivated, the reason why I'm so driven, the reason why people look at me and they're like, damn, Donzo, how you do this and you do this? Because I am living in my purpose, right? And you have to understand that life is going to happen. Like I said, my story, I I had 2 seizures. I didn't know if I was going to commission. I was in a coma for 8 hours. I woke up with a left shoulder broken and a right shoulder dislocated. I could have said to myself, that was it. I could have said to myself, that was it. But I told myself that God is making me go through this because there's a battle ahead that he needs me to be resilient. So every struggle you have to understand that it's building you for that next level. TG Jake, he said he's also somebody I listen to. He was like,
Hmm.
with more problems and more responsibility, there's a new devil, right? So meaning that whatever obstacle that happened in your life, there is something that situation is preparing you for that you need to be mentally ready because I am this determined because I went through what I went through and
Hmm.
God needed me to go through that because if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't believe that I wouldn't believe that I could be one of the best speakers alive. I wouldn't believe that. But the fact that he took me through that, I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what anybody tell me. I will always figure it out. I will always make a way. So I just want you guys to understand the first thing you have to do is you have to find your purpose. You have to find why you're here. What is your calling? And that's why I say train your mind to live your calling. Every one of us on this earth, I don't care you are black, you're white, you're Asian, you're Muslim, you're whomsoever. You have a calling. And the sooner you realize your calling, the sooner and easier your life will be. Because every day I wake up, I realized, okay, I have my military job. All right, now I have my calling. Okay, what am I doing in my calling how am I aligning myself to be able to influence and bring value to people in terms of speaking?
Hmm.
So, and with failure, and with failure, like I said, you have to understand that you are going to fail. It's part of life. It's
Hmm.
part of life. You have to understand that circumstances are going to happen. I dealt with family rejection multiple times. My family never accepted me, and I could have taken that. I could have, I got in trouble a couple times. I could have got in trouble with the law, and my life could have went a whole different way, right? But I
Hmm.
always said, I always tell people, look at the people. Warren Buffett said this. I have a lot of mentors, like I said. I read a lot. Warren Buffett said, look at the individuals look at your mentors, right? The qualities or the people in your life, the things that you don't like about them, just do the opposite of it.
Hmm.
My father had multiple kids with multiple women. I want to have, I want to be married and have child with one woman. My mother, she's been through a lot of, relationship and crazy. I want to have a stable relationship. So I look at the people in my life that, that love me, that influence me. and I see the problem, and I just say, okay, well, I don't want to live like this. I want to live like this. So I just do the opposite of it, you know? That's how I do it, to
We
be
hear you,
honest with you.
man. We hear you loud and clear. Hey, Yuseni, I think absolutely you brought that fire and that passion, man. I hope that whomever is checking out our discussion today, really appreciates what they got. I got one more comment coming in. It's from Holly. Hey, Holly. She said, "Thank you for your insight and sharing your story. I've started doing a lot of public speaking as well, and your passion has motivated slash inspired me." Hey, and I hope
That's
that
what I love.
exactly. And I hope that, whoever checked out our discussion today have been inspired. I know I absolutely have been. So I really appreciate you coming and talking with me today, man.
Thank you, man. It's an honor. It really is. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's an honor, man. To speak, that's something I love. I would do that any day. I rushed, like I told you. That's something I would rush to do, because I love it. I love it. So, but thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. All right.
Okay, you take care.
Yep. And so we just had a really awesome discussion with Luseni. Um, wow, hell of a motivational speaker. Something that I really appreciated just talking to him. And I hope that you all appreciated what we brought today. And, as I always say in parting, take care of yourself, your family, and others. Bye now.